Okay, so I don't know how this is going to work out, but I figured I'd do a video, my first tech video, I guess, if you can even call it that, regarding the Robotron, regarding one of our bottle cap transistors here. If you watched the last episode before that, if you remember, we had two of the 2N3055 transistors, when one of them's supposed to be a 6057, 2N6057 instead. I thought back, and yeah, this is my fault. I put two of the 2N3055s because I went back and I looked at some old orders from Twisty Wrist Arcade and everything, and I ordered two of these. So I can't blame it on anyone else by myself. I screwed up. How I did that, I don't know, but I did. So I have my iPhone, which is my camera I use, wedged up under my toolbox above my head here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing and this doesn't go out of frame. So we'll give it a whirl. Alright. So the one we need to do, the one we need that handles the 5 volts, is this top one right here. It's the yellow and the white wire. Alright. And if you've ever worked with one of these before, okay, they have little sockets in them. Alright, you can see back here, this isn't part of the transistor. Well, these legs are, or the very tip of the legs are, but this is a socket that goes on the heatsink, and it makes it pretty easy to change. Theoretically speaking, all we're going to have to do, if I remember this correctly, is desolder the yellow wire and the white wire. Alright, it's going to be a little tricky because there are little eyelets over here. Alright, if we even need the desolder, okay, and undo the screws in the socket, and we should be able to pull the bottle cap transistor right out. Hopefully that's the way this is going to go. Alright, so let us start by unscrewing this. And of course my screwdriver is not where it's supposed to be. And the reason I say that I might have to do some desoldering on the yellow and the white wires, I do remember one of the actually, it's this one right here, so I might not have to desolder. On this, the way I got it, I didn't do this. This wasn't me. One of the little socket legs was broken off, so I had to kind of trim it down. I had to solder it and get that right on the leg of the transistor right down here. So let's see. Hey, you know, if this video is horrible, I could always not post it and pretend it never happened, right? Take our handy-dandy screwdriver. It's already loose, which is a good sign. Take our screws out. Might have to get a little pair of my my Hacko pliers. No, here it comes. Here it comes. Come on. There it goes. This is going way too well, so I know something's going to get screwed up eventually. Here's a little mica insulator. What that's doing is, you know, even though it seems impossible, I guess, this case... This is important. Oh, you know what? We're going to take a break, and I'll be right back. My daughter is in need of some assistance on the potty. And we're back. So where was I? For any of you that have young children, you'll understand. Sometimes you got to take the break to go help the 5-year-old on the potty. So these don't make a direct contact to the heatsink. All right, they're insulated. All right. Matter of fact, after we install this, we're going to check for continuity between the case of the transistor and the heatsink. And if we have it, that's not a good thing. That means we screwed something up. Okay. So we have some of the heatsink compound between the mica resistor in there. We're going to take a little bit. I'm pretty sure. If I could find my heatsink compound. You'd figure I would have this all ready to go, right? but I do not have it all ready to go. Oh, here it is. It's not where I thought it was. I have all these nice little shelves all over here to try to make myself organized, and of course, I usually wind up being anything but organized. So take a little dab will do you with this stuff. It gets everywhere. It's extremely messy. That's probably not enough, but I don't want to get this stuff smeared all over my hands. I'll never get it off. What am I doing? See, I'm putting it... This is how bad I am at videos. I'm putting it on the old part, right? We don't need this on the old part. We need this on the new part. This I got from Arcade Parts and Repair, if you could see that. One of the guys, I don't know if I'm in the frame, one of the guys in the cloud forums, KLOV forums, whatever you want to say, he does, has a website. There's a bunch of guys who have websites. The three I use the most are Arcade Parts and Repair, Twisty Wrist Arcade, and Ian Kellogg. That's iankellogg.com, Twisty Wrist Arcade, twistywristarcade.com, and arcadepartsandrepair.com. You know, those are the three that, those are my three go-tos. You know, what I try to do, even if I have the same stuff, is just to support them in the hobby. I try to, you know, I'll place one order with one guy. Next time I do an order, I'll do one of the other guys, and the third time I'll do the third guy, and then I'll repeat, just because, you know, I appreciate what they're doing, and I want to keep them in business. And I tend to order a lot of stuff. I tend to order way too much crap, actually. Now, we're going to put this on here without dropping it, making a mess. Or at least we're going to try to. Then we got to get it right in those holes, which we did. It's not fitting exactly the way I want it. Let's try to... We don't want to force it. Let's try to turn that around. Let's see if that makes a difference. Because it's hard to tell, but this isn't centered. There is, it's closer to one side than the other. At least I'm pretty sure it is. I believe that's what I've heard. Yeah, there you go. See, that's a much better fit. That's a much better fit. You know, it may be misleading because now you're like, oh, well, the numbers and the and everything are upside down. But if that's the way it fits, that's the way it fits. Don't try to force it the other way. So, I got those guys in here. Sometimes your socket will float too. See how that happens? See how the socket's kind of floating in there? Obviously, you're going to have to put that back because that's going to establish your connection with the wires and everything. And I probably should have held that. Yeah, we're going to have to hold this in as we do this. If you're looking for expert repair videos, you've come to the wrong place if you haven't figured that out already. You've come to the very wrong place. I think we got it. I think we got it. All right, we got it. Hand start our screws just to make sure nothing moves. Make sure we're where we should be. I'm sorry if this wasn't all the way in the frame. I'm doing the best I can here. I'm Steven Spielberg. I am not. Okay, I want to make sure those are nice and snug too, so they're making good contact. That heatsink compound spreads out underneath it. All right, we don't want to make it so tight that we strip things. Check how tight these are too while we're at it. You know, but you know, we do want it to have some, do want it to be pretty snug in there. All right, so that's pretty good. chunk underneath here. As you can see, those legs are going to go into the socket here, and then these wires now make contact with those legs. All right, good. And the this green wire is making contact with the case itself. So the thing we want to check, like I said before, is continuity.
I'm sorry for that, Dad.
Okay. So we should not have continuity between the case and the heatsink. So we have our meter on continuity here. Here's the case, here's the heatsink. Whoop. We do not. So we're good to go. We're good to go in that respect. So now let's well, the second part of this is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's not the problem, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to change out IC2 on the power supply board. I'm pretty sure that's my problem over there, that transistor, but we're going to change this out right here. All right. So while we were doing that, I had my nice Hacko warming up. So let's take this IC out. It's one of the voltage regulators. It's the 5-volt voltage regulator. Let's pop this guy out. Okay. Pretty sure he's still good. We'll see. Also for chips, if you have to take chips in and out, or need to take chips in and out, I really like these. This is the, I don't know which way it's going to be readable. Weha Pico Finish. Okay. These are great. They're little, it's like a tiny little crowbar made for ICs. I've never damaged or bent anything while using this thing. I did with the screwdrivers before. This has made things a lot easier. The thing I didn't like is I used one of these machine pin sockets. Before I knew better, this is what I had. I have since upgraded to the dual wipe sockets. And the reason these are called dual wipe sockets is because, let me get something to open this so I don't break one of my nails. That would be awesome. The reason they're called dual wipe is because they contact the chip leg. You have a chip, right? Here's your chip, here's your IC, and you put them in there. It's going to contact both sides of that chip leg, the outside and the inside of the chip leg, which ensures you a lot better connectivity. All right, a lot better connection, a lot better, more surface area, more contact. You get the drift. So let's desolder this machine pin socket. All right, if you don't have one of these, this is something else you got to get. You got to get yourself a Hacko 808. I think the FR300 is the new model, but these are fantastic. If you're using that braid or that sucker tool, you're missing out, because the things are a lot easier with this. And we are desoldered, or at least we're supposed to be. I guess I missed some. Solder. Sometimes you'll have solder come up to the underneath, on the top side of the socket or IC, and that gets to be a little hard to get out. So your best is to make another little pass and try to get it out of there. See, I might have a little residual here. It's also, you got to be careful. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to put too much heat on the board and start lifting lifting traces, lifting pads. Yeah, if you can see here, you can see there's a lot of solder under here. So the way to really deal with that a lot of the times is to cut the legs. You can cut the legs off and cut it off the board. That's what I might have to do here. Be very careful. It's going to be hard to get in here, being that I have a capacitor right there. So, what are my options here? Let's see. Maybe it's just a snug fit. This isn't something you're supposed to do. You could try to maybe just pry it real lightly, see if it'll come up. All right, and it is. When you do this, though, fair warning, this is not kind of what you're supposed to do. You can lift solder pads and traces and things of that nature. Right? If you see right here, look what I just did. See? I lifted the pads right off the board. Okay, on the top section here. These two pads don't connect to anything on the top section. All right? Those two pads right there, they're connected to the bottom, on the bottom of the board, so it's not a big deal. But if you were to lift the trace in the bottom, then you'd have to start repair, or lift a solder pad in the bottom, you'd have to start repairing traces and things of that nature, which isn't hard, but definitely something you would like to avoid if you can. So me prying like that, not the best idea. I knew that going in, but I kind of want to get this done. So everything else seems to be intact. We're going to drop in our new dual wipe socket in here. You got to line up our pins, get him in there. Our soldering iron is already heated up. We're going to take a little bit of solder on the tip, like this. We're going to do this just to tack it in. Okay, because the problem is now I'm holding it on the other side of the board, which makes for, not an easy time. So what I do is in the corner, I put a little solder on the iron. In the corner, I just tack in two of the corners, which is not how you're supposed to solder. I just do that to hold it in, and then I'll go back. I'll resolder those two legs when I go back. All right. And we just go through. You don't want to put too much. You want to put enough to I'm sure some people watching out there are probably much better at soldering than I am. So I don't know why I'm telling you all that, but these two traces I keep saying traces. These two pads are connected to each other. They go to the same place on the board, so if they bridge, it's okay. They're supposed to bridge. Okay. That should be good. And if you could see, now we have everything soldered in there. We check our work. We make sure nothing's bridged. We make sure we have enough solder on there, which it looks like we do. We could actually probably use a teensy bit more on some of these legs. Okay. That looks better. All right. Give our socket a little chance to cool. I'm going to go in here. We're going to open up our new pack of voltage regulators. So when I buy stuff, I always buy too much. I wasn't sure if I needed one or two. I bought 4, I think. 4? 1, 2, 3, I bought 5 apparently. Okay. And when you're going to put it in here, right, bent our little cap a little bit. Try to straighten out the legs a little bit to make it go in the socket easier. We'll do that. We'll do this. Very carefully bend, straightening the legs a little bit on a flat surface. Make sure that all our legs line up with our socket, and boom, push it home. And that seems to be sitting in there quite nicely. You have the little notch on the chip there. So let's go install this and this in the machine, unhook our switching power supply, and let's see if that makes a difference. And we're back. And I'm happy to report that it's a success. As you can see, we have the I gotta really clean these wires up, but got the linear power supply back in there with our proper 6059 replacement for the 6057. Game booted up. I got my 0. My LED didn't freak out or anything like that, and I don't want to try to test it on camera. Well, you know, sure I can. We'll do it this way. I know you're technically supposed to test at the chips, but being that I have my hands full, we're gonna stick one in the 5-volt line, and then we'll test down here at ground, which is the screw. All these screws ground it. And we get a very respectable 4.987. So there you go. There you go. The switcher I have in here, you see the switcher still in there. Nothing's hooked up to it. I just didn't. I didn't wind up dismantling this yet. So don't need that. I'll keep that on the shelf for a rainy day or for more troubleshooting. But there we go. Yeah, so that's what it was. It was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that voltage regulator in there. I'm pretty sure it was. The 605, the 6057, 6059, whatever you want to call it. One of the guys on KLOV, Clav, whatever the hell you want to call it, he said that they're similar in spec, but they're different enough in spec that it might have been just that 0.4 of a volt wasn't coming through because of the difference in spec, and he was absolutely right. That's what it was. So, lesson learned, when you're rebuilding stuff, make sure you buy the right parts and you put the right parts in. I guess it could have been a lot more catastrophic, but in this case it was just a low 5-volt condition. So yeah, so our power problems are solved. Hooray. Now we got to figure out why I have no damn sound. Because I don't. You press the sound test. I get nothing. My volume's up. I'm hearing nothing from the speakers at all. No noise, no growl. The Williams hum, the Williams growl, as they kind of call it. I hear nothing. So I have my suspicions about what that might be. I've been reading up on that. So that'll be our next project. The board's recapped. Those are new caps. So it's not the caps. I'm guessing it's I've seen people say it might be the processor, it might be the PIA, which is that 40-pin chip right next to the processor. Maybe it's the amp, the TDA. I think it's a TDA 2002. I can't see. Whatever the heck that is now, I'll have to take a look. But I have TDA 2002s and 2003s from my when I had to fix my Paperboy, and I had a couple channels go out on my Paperboy sound. Maybe that's that up there. Who the hell knows? Anyway, long story short, I'm going to cobble this video together of my mediocre soldering board repair skills, but hey, at least it worked. And this will be another episode in the Robotron Restore. See you later.